Hi everyone, I'm Mark Eisen for the 20 Minute Gourmet. Today we're going to be making our delicious lemon chicken Alfredo. Yes, I said lemon and Alfredo in the same sentence. As in most of our recipes here, cooking gourmet in 20 minutes or less requires just a few advanced steps. You know how most recipes assume that you went to the store and bought the ingredients or that you have them in your home? We also ask that you prepare many of your proteins in advance and vacuum freeze them. Please see the link to our 11 tips based chicken video in the description below or at the end of this video if you haven't seen those time-saving tips. Let's get started. We start by heating a skillet to 400 degrees, high heat to get the pan hot, then later we'll reduce it to 350 degrees, medium to medium high for cooking. Let's add some heart-healthy olive oil to prepare the pan. While the skillet is getting hot, let's go over the ingredients. We have fresh basil, though you can also use dried basil, ranch dressing powder, which is optional, lemon, grated lemon peel from the same lemon, shaved Parmesan, capers, garlic, salt, pepper, onion powder, oregano, bouillon, butter, olive oil, and heavy whipping cream. Notice that the rice and the chicken are pre-prepared to allow you to create a gourmet meal in 20 minutes or less. Again, see our link to our 11 tips based chicken video for 11 great time-saving tips. Next, let's add the garlic. Now, you can use fresh garlic, but this chopped garlic is fantastic and fast. And I love fast. That's why I made the 20 Minute Gourmet. I don't have much time, but I love gourmet food. So if you have fresh garlic, it'll take you another minute or two, but simply crush and dice it small. However, since I'm in a hurry, this garlic tastes pretty great too, especially with our tip. We purchase it chopped in water, but then we empty out all of the water and add olive oil and store it in the refrigerator. This gives the olive oil in the garlic that beautiful garlicky taste that adds just another layer of flavor to our recipes. Keep the garlic moving in the pan so that it doesn't burn. Garlic becomes very bitter if it's overcooked or certainly if it's burned. Now, one of these tips is from Rachael Ray, one of my favorite cooks or chefs. Add the dried oregano right to the pan. This wakes up the spice from the container. Reduce the temperature to 350 degrees or medium to medium high heat on a gas stove. Now we're going to add the butter. Keep it moving to make sure that you don't burn the garlic and you don't burn the butter. We're going to turn down the temperature a little more. Once the butter has melted, you'll add the lemon zest and the capers. Now, lemon zest is the yellow part of the lemon peel that contains the fragrant and tasty lemon oil. Make sure not to finely grate the white part of the peel, however, that's bitter. To this mixture, add just a little bit of chicken bouillon. That would be 1 or 2 small squares, or like this product that I love, it's a half a teaspoon or so of Better Than Bouillon, which is like a condensed liquid chicken stock. This adds most of the salt that you'll need as well. Next, we'll add in our heavy whipping cream. Keep it on medium temperature until it lightly bubbles, never boiling. To this, we're going to add one of my secret touches, and that's a bit of ranch dressing powder. This is really one of my recipe secrets that I use in quite a few of my recipes. If you don't have ranch powder in your kitchen, you can simply replace that with a little more salt, maybe a little dried chives and parsley. In gourmet cooking, it's always a great idea to layer the flavors, so we're going to add a touch more oregano and onion powder in this step as well. By the way, you could also have sauteed diced onion with the garlic in the beginning, like I do in most of my Italian recipes. But since I'm making this as a quick lunch, I don't worry too much about cutting the onion. In fact, I actually like the smooth texture of this sauce without the onion. Turn the temperature down if you see it boiling. Again, this is a bit of a delicate sauce, so you don't want to boil or overheat it. Now we're going to add the all-important lemon juice. Based on the quantity you're making, it's either about a teaspoon or two, or up to about a tablespoon of lemon juice. If you're using a lemon, I use about a half a lemon and I squeeze it upside down to keep the seeds from going into the pan, but watch for those. Next, we're going to add Parmesan cheese. Personally, I like how shaved Parmesan melts in sauces, and it's not quite as fragrant, or smelly, as powdered Parmesan can sometimes be. Besides adding flavor, Parmesan is going to help you bind the sauce together, thickening it up a bit, and this is what makes this recipe an Alfredo sauce. Add a little more whipping cream to make it thinner, or a little more Parmesan to thicken. We'll add some fresh pepper at this step, and we'll taste it for the amount of salt, the amount of lemon, and for the consistency of the sauce. We want it thick, but not too thick, so kind of play it by ear. You'll see it if you stick a piece of pasta in it, that it sticks to the pasta. You're at a good consistency. Alright, so now I'm giving it a taste. Delicious. I can see that I can add a little more whipping cream because it's pretty thick. By the way, you can also use half and half with Wondra. Now, that's a product I love. Yes, I said Wondra and not Wonder. It's a really fine flour that's great for sauces. If you don't have Wondra, well, you should go out and buy it. But if you don't have it right now, while you're preparing this delicious meal, then just add a couple of teaspoons of flour in the beginning when you're melting the butter. That creates a roux, which will help the half and half thicken to the consistency of heavy whipping cream. Or you can use the time-tested method of a teaspoon of cornstarch mixed with a little hot water to add to the sauce to thicken as well. Based on the taste, I think it has the perfect amount of lemon. Not too tart, but you know the lemon is in there. And now we get to the last ingredient. This is our fresh basil. You want to add this at the very end of cooking since it wilts quickly. Turns a little black actually. We'll turn it on low heat to make sure it stays warm. As we mentioned in the beginning, we have our preheated, pre-cooked chicken breast and rice ready. So now it's time to finally add our chicken. As you can see, there's a little juice with the vacuum sealed chicken breasts. Spread the chicken breasts around the sauce, coating both sides. Tongs would be great here as well. Increase the heat a bit to get it bubbling, but again, not boiling. Now, if you see the sauce is a little thin, like I do, from the chicken juice that the package added, let's go back to my previous suggestion. I'll use a little bit of Wondra. Again, you can substitute a little cornstarch dissolved in hot water, but add it where you see the sauce and not the protein, and stir it around and make sure to cook it a couple of minutes more to get rid of any starchy or floury taste. Now we're going to turn it down again. Meanwhile, I'm going to heat my pre-cooked rice in the microwave. I'm going to plate this up and come right back. Here is the final beautiful plated presentation with a touch of fresh basil added. 20 minutes or less, lemon chicken Alfredo with rice. It was actually only 13 minutes. By the way, we also do a version of this we call lemon caper chicken pasta, but it's the exact same lemon Alfredo sauce, and it's delicious on pasta as well, let me tell you. Another great tip is that we cook our rice and pasta on Sundays for the entire week and store it in the refrigerator in either plastic containers or bags. This saves us many more hours a week as well, plus saves us a lot of cleanup. I hate the cleanup part. So let me know in the comments how this recipe went for you. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Make sure to click the bell to turn notifications on. This is Mark Eisen for the 20 Minute Gourmet signing off. See you next time.